Well, hello there, you amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. I weren't going to do this video because basically, if you do a video like this, you put yourself at risk. It's just the way it is. If you're part of the UK, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying, exactly what I'm talking about. If you've seen the thumbnail, you'll know exactly where this is heading. I am in the UK. I live in the UK for my sins. It's insane to me. Like, I'm 45 years old, and the change that I sound like a granddad, rocking backwards and forwards on the porch. I'm gonna have a grandchild on my knee, sitting there telling them stories, feeding them Werther's fucking original. But the changes that I've seen, just in my short time here, I've seen an abundance of changes, but none as worrying as what I've seen in the last sort of 2 years. I suppose you could say pre C19 era to now. The world seems, or when I say well, I appreciate that other countries, other places have got their issues as well. And so this isn't just the UK that are seeing these things, but I'm speaking on behalf of the UK, the working class person in the UK, and why we are seemingly fucked. Because it seems that we are. It seems that we are. Why do I say that? Why can I sit here as a British person and say that we be fucked? Well, it's because of the shit that we're seeing all over the news, man. Seeing the things that are happening. What have we seen recently? We have seen seemingly the refusal by the government to look into a very serious situation. I've got fluff on me. Very serious situation, and you can see my apprehension to even say certain things. That is purely because the reality is you have to be careful what you say, because if you say the wrong thing, you can literally end up in prison. There are people in this country, and I'm not talking about proper criminals, I'm talking about family people. I'm talking about mums, middle-aged mums with children who have been put in prison for Facebook posts, social media posts that was said in the heat of a real upsetting, distressing, emotional situation. What was the death of small children? Horrendous crime, which again gets everybody's fucking heckles up. And it gets everyone's heckles up when you consistently see things that would suggest that these children are being placed at risk, and being used as cannon fodder almost, but nothing's being done about it. And then you see what's happened over the last few days, and I'm going to bring your attention to two things that have happened. And this isn't, again, this list isn't exhaustive. I'm just using these two situations to kind of show you the why I can't get my head around the situation, why I can't understand why, again, we've got this massive issue that isn't being dealt with. You've got people who are going to prison because of posts on social media, while they simultaneously take prisoners out of prison who are actually in prison for violent crimes to make room for people who have posted on social media. I can't get my head around that. And then, so part one, we have a mum who was basically arrested, taken to the police station, put in a cell, spent several hours in a cell. I know what you think. What was that for, Hart? What was that for? What was that? Theft of an iPad. Now you think, what, did she break in an Apple store? Break into an Apple store? No, took the iPads off her children. Took the iPads off her children so they would concentrate on their homework. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more complex than that. It would seemingly suggest that you've got mum and dad who have separated. Perhaps dad or whatever has bought the iPads. Not happy that mum, who he's estranged from, has taken the iPads from the kids. Maybe the kids have texted him and said, "Dad, mum's took our iPads," whatever. But this isn't a criminal situation. This isn't a criminal. This is a civil situation where a mum has made a decision to remove iPads from her children because she felt that they were interfering in them doing their homework. So she removed them, and that ended up being reported to the police, and she gets arrested for these iPads. So we're now living in a world where, as a parent, you are in danger of being arrested and having criminal charges placed against you for taking your children's iPads off them so they do their homework. Let that sink in. So that's number one. And like I say, this list isn't exhaustive. I could do a 10-hour video on multiple things that are happening in this country that'll make you think, what the fuck, really? So another one, recently, we see a video that is taken on a phone of a policeman, and he is questioning an older guy. I'm not saying an old guy before you lot. An older guy. He's older than me. He's probably in his 50s, perhaps early 60s. And the cop comes over and he's like, "You said speak English." The bloke turns around and said, "No, I said speak clearly." So the accusation is that this older guy has turned around and said to somebody that they should speak English, or can you speak English? Now the cop turns around and says that that could be perceived as a hate crime because this guy, this older guy, has told somebody to speak English. Now let's just pocket that for a second and just note that that ain't what he said. He turned around and said speak clearly, because he's partially deaf and can't hear. So when he's talking to this person, he can't fucking hear them. Now, I'm partially deaf in one ear as well. Learn a new thing every day. So I very often have to go, what? Pardon? Say that again? Do you know what I mean? And it drives Mrs. Harsh nuts. Even though she does it, I don't think she listens to me a lot either. Maybe she's partially deaf or selective hearing. If I talk about shopping, she's bang on it. If I talk about something, yeah, that's by and by. So the guy's partially deaf. So the cops go, oh, well, I don't know what happened. So I'm just coming over just because it's been said. You know what I mean? And if you're telling somebody to speak English, that could potentially be a hate crime. So the bloke's not done it for a start. So let's just think about that. So the bloke says again, nah, I just said speak clearly because I'm deaf. But just think about that for a second. So we're now living in a world where if you say to someone in an English speaking country where the language is predominantly English, if you say to someone, if you're having a conversation with someone and you don't understand what they're saying, you can't turn around and say, "Can you speak English, please? I don't suppose there's any way that you can speak English so I can actually have a fucking conversation and understand what you're saying to me." I don't suppose that's a thing, because the likelihood this person is going to turn around and say, "That is the most horrible thing anyone has ever said to me." Horrible. Horrible. I'm going to remember this forever. I can't fucking work it out, mate. That is the world that we're living in. That is the country that we have become. What next? What can be next? This will probably be my last video because I'll be locked up. I'll be in prison for talking about someone who said to someone, "Can you speak English?" That's the fucking reality that we live in. That there was things that you want to talk about, you want to address, but you risk getting not only cancelled but literal imprisonment now. Let me know down below what you have. I don't know. I don't even know if I can ask you to do that. Just comment something that won't get you put in prison. So don't talk about anything to do with this video. Talk about cats or something. Love you all. Mwah.